All right, so streaming wars. Everyone's got their favorite platform, their must-watch shows. But, and this is a big one, is it all sustainable? Can these streaming giants keep churning out original content at this pace? That's what we're diving into today with this article you sent over. It's by A.B. Shrestha over on Medium. Original content for streaming platforms, a curse or a boon. Catchy title, right? And Shrestha kicks things off with this, well, kind of wild comparison. He compares the current state of streaming to, get this, a free automated parking garage in San Francisco.
Okay, I gotta admit, that's not a connection I saw coming.
Okay.
But I'm intrigued.
Right. So imagine, you pull up, robot whisks your car away, no ticket, no payment. Super convenient, kind of cool, but sustainable long term. That's exactly what Shrestha is getting at, with streaming platforms dumping money into original shows and movies.
It's a fascinating analogy because on the one hand, you have these platforms, right? They're locked in this, like, arms race for subscribers. You gotta have that must-see content, something that rivals, maybe even tops those big Hollywood blockbusters. And those don't come cheap.
Exactly. And the article, it straight up says some of these shows, their budgets are insane. Hundreds of millions of dollars, easy. And it's not just fancy CGI or filming on location in, like, the Maldives, right? A lot of that cash, it goes towards those big-name actors we all, let's be honest, love to see.
Exactly. That star power comes with a hefty price tag. And that's where the whole sustainability question really kicks in. Can these platforms actually make back those massive investments just from subscription fees? Especially with so many options out there and everyone getting more and more, shall we say, conscious of their budgets.
So, okay, if just throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at every new show isn't like a recipe for success, what are these platforms doing to, stay afloat? Well, Shrestha, in the article, he lays out a few survival strategies. Some we're already seeing play out. Others are more like dot possible scenarios. And honestly, some are a bit concerning.
Yeah, I mean, the streaming landscape is definitely dynamic, to say the least.
Totally. So the most obvious strategy, and it's always a gamble, is
Price hikes.
Yep. We've all been there, seen that notification pop up and thought, ooh, seriously. But the article calls this playing chicken with our wallets. There's only so much we're willing to shell out, especially with so many choices, right?
It's a delicate dance. Raise prices too high, people jump ship. Don't raise them enough. You're bleeding money on those big budget productions.
Talk about high stakes. And that's where the whole, what's it called, churn rate comes in. That's the number that keeps those streaming execs up at night.
Churn rate, yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah.
How many people are canceling their subscriptions? Because a high churn rate, that's a red flag.
For sure. Okay, so then there's the strategy that I think honestly blindsided a lot of people. The rise of, get this, ad-supported tiers.
I mean, it was bound to happen. Right?
I guess, but Netflix with ads, that felt, I don't know, almost sacred, Like, that was their thing, no ads, ever, remember?
Oh, yeah. It was a major selling point, a huge difference from traditional TV. And now, even platforms like Prime Video, even with all their other ways of making money, they're jumping on the ad tier train.
It really shows how much the game has changed. But ads are just one piece of the puzzle, right? Shrestha also talks about this idea of, and it sounds kind of jargony, but diversifying revenue streams. Basically, finding ways to make money beyond just those monthly subscriptions.
Exactly. Instead of putting all their eggs in one basket, streaming platforms are having to get, well, creative.
Okay, so what are we talking about here? What kind of creative solutions? Give me an example.
Licensing deals, for one. We've seen a lot of that lately.
Licensing.
Yeah, like selling the rights to their shows and movies to other broadcasters, maybe international markets. It's a way to get more mileage out of their content, even if it's not, the next Squid Game on their platform.
Right. Give it a second life. Maybe find a new audience. Yeah. Smart. Okay, what else?
Well, then there's the world of live content, which is a whole other beast. Live sports, mainly. Remember when Apple and Amazon were battling it out for those NFL streaming rights?
Yeah.
That's because live events, they create this urgency, this gotta-watch-it-now feeling that on-demand stuff just doesn't have.
Makes sense. Plus, people are glued to their screens during a game, which equals
more ad revenue.
Bingo! Speaking of things people like to be glued to, gaming. Some platforms are, like testing the waters with gaming, offering exclusive games as part of their subscription.
Right, creating that whole one-stop shop for entertainment, hoping the convenience factor keeps those subscribers locked in.
Convenience is king. Which leads us to, well, another form of bundling. Partnering with other services, getting multiple streaming platforms for one hopefully discounted price.
Yeah.
That's tempting.
It's the classic win-win, or at least that's the idea.
Yeah.
The article even mentions some some pretty interesting data on this. Specifically, they look at the Disney bundle, with Hulu and ESPN,
Yeah, it's a popular one.
and the numbers show that it significantly cuts down on their churn rate. People are way less likely to cancel because, well, they feel like they're getting a bargain.
True. But here's the thing.
It's not a cure-all.
Exactly. For the big dogs like Netflix, Disney, bundling might not be the magic bullet, which brings us to well, let's be honest, the most drastic strategy: consolidation.
Yeah, mergers, acquisitions, the whole shebang. We saw it with Discovery and HBO Max, and the article suggests this might become more common.
Smaller platforms getting swallowed up by the bigger players. But is that good for us, the viewers?
That's the million-dollar question. Less choice isn't ideal, but maybe a more stable streaming landscape would ultimately mean higher quality content. It's a trade-off, for sure.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, talked strategies, but there's this, elephant in the room, right? Is there such a thing as just too MUCH content?
Oh, for sure. I think it's something we're all, grappling with, even if we don't realize it.
Right, because the article, it brings up this idea of, and I'm going to try to say it without butchering it, content saturation. Is that even a real thing?
Oh, it's definitely real. We are absolutely at a point where there's so much vying for our eyeballs, our attention. It's kind of paralyzing trying to even choose what to watch.
No, seriously, I'm not even kidding, more time scrolling through menus than actually watching things. There are only so many hours in a day, and it feels like every platform is just screaming, "Watch me! No, watch me!"
And that feeling you just described, what is it, decision fatigue, it's not just you. Studies actually show that too many choices can actually make us less satisfied.
Really?
Yeah, we second-guess ourselves, wonder if we made the right choice, feel like we're missing out on something better. It's a thing.
Which ironically probably makes us less likely to commit to anything at all.
Exactly. And that brings us right back to sustainability, right? If viewers are overwhelmed, disengaged, doesn't matter how many shows you pump out.
So what if, and this is going to sound weird, what if the future of streaming isn't about more, but about, smarter? Could platforms actually, I don't know, make less stuff?
It's an interesting idea that Shrestha puts out there. He even mentions that there's been, get this, a slight dip in original content production this year. Now, could be a blip, but it makes you wonder.
Right. What if, instead of this whole quantity thing, they focus on a smaller lineup of, really good shows, things they actually believe in, are willing to invest in long term?
That kind of curated approach, that could be a game changer. For everyone, really. Imagine if you were actually excited for every single new release from your favorite service, because you knew it was going to be good.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Quality over quantity, 100%. But, real talk, what does the future hold for streaming? Doom and gloom? Or is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, challenges for sure. The article sums them up nicely. Balancing those budgets, keeping up with the tech, making sure the talent's happy, the audience is happy. It's a lot.
Oh, and don't forget, the technology itself is always changing. Who even knows how we'll be watching things in 5 years?
Exactly. But even with all the unknowns, I think there's room for optimism. Challenges, they often lead to innovation, right? We're in this crazy period of evolution for entertainment, and I think we're going to see some really cool, really different stuff come out of it.
That's a good point. It's definitely an exciting time to be a viewer. So, big picture, what are we taking away from all of this? The streaming wars, they're not over, not by a long shot. People still want great content. But how it's MAD, how we see it, that might look totally different down the road.
Absolutely. And maybe, just maybe, this whole thing pushes storytelling in a bold new direction. More quality, more innovation, more voices being heard. That's the hope, anyway.
That is an awesome thought to end on. Thanks for diving deep with us into the world of streaming. This is one to keep an eye on, folks. Catch you all next time.